You are watching Topic TCRS. Today, I am happy and privileged to be in conversation with lawyer and leftist Mr. Srinath Pereira. Welcome to my show.
Thank you.
Today, we are going to discuss about one of the most talked about issues in Sri Lanka right now is the Kotalawala Bill. First thing, Sir John Kotalawala Defence Academy was established in 1981 by Parliamentary Act number 68 of 1981. The academy was granted university status by the Sir John Kotalawala Defence Academy Act number 27 of 1988. In 2007, it was renamed as General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University. This bill was first put forward in 2018 by the then government, but due to the widespread protest and criticism, it was not presented to Parliament. The current government has now placed the same bill to be taken up by Parliament. My first question, the intent of the academy was trained to cadet officers to serve the country. This is not an unusual activity. Most countries have specialized institutions for training military officers. Then what are the objectives of the protest? Or how this bill affects free education?
You did a very good introduction. It's very good. Now, as you said, now this bill, the present bill, was prepared by the previous government, but they could not enact it due to widespread protests. Though protests were not on the streets as was during the Saitam protest. Many people were against it, and especially the present government, the present government party, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, was opposed to it, and they behind the scenes organized opposition for that bill. But now this government, this SLPP Podujana Peramuna has come to power, and they are going to enact the same bill prepared by the previous government. Then the one thing I should say at the start, I would say that this government has no people's mandate to enact this bill. Their policy statement that vistas of prosperity doesn't mention anything about either Kotalawala University or anything with regard to the commercialization or militarization of education, or more important, specifically higher education. And the present president Gotabaya Rajapaksa, when he was going around the country, he was saying that all the students eligible to enter universities would be provided the opportunity. What that meant was the present university system would be expanded to accommodate all those students. Now we expected that he would fulfill that objective, that pledge, and even some ministers during the before the election time, before and during the election period in 2020, stated that all those who qualify to be admitted to the universities would be admitted to universities, and the facilities and the other needs would be expanded to accommodate all those. Now we didn't believe that pledge, but many people were expecting that at least some expansion would be effected to accommodate more students. But this government didn't take any action to implement that pledge. And instead, they are now going on to enact a new bill that Kotalawala Defense Sir John Kotalawala Defense University bill, which they don't have any mandate during the last two main elections. either in presidential election or in parliamentary election. Therefore, they haven't got any people's mandate for this bill to enact this bill, and therefore it's in a sense it's illegal for them to enact and present this bill. That's one thing. And the main there are two main objectives of the government in bringing this bill. Those two objectives are, on the one side, commercialization of higher education, and on the other side, militarization of higher education, mainly higher education, but lately it would creep into the normal education also in the school level. On the aspect of commercialization of education, one can say, and many people are saying, that even now fees are levied for many degree courses or diploma courses in private academies or university, so-called universities, and especially even within the Kotalawala University itself. The fees are charged for medical degree, medicine degree, law degree, etc. It's true that we are opposed to that. We say that those degrees should be offered in free of charge, but it's going on, it's happening. Then why we oppose this new bill on the issue of commercialization? This bill, for the first time, recognizes commercialization or fee levying for higher education as official government policy. Up to now, no government has stated that the fee levying, charging fees for higher education as the government policy, official government policy. It was to be happen during the 2016-17 period by the site on the issue of Saitam Medical University, Medical College. If that degree was accepted, recognized, then the medical degree, providing a medical degree for fee would be recognized as the official state policy. But it was defeated by the students and the other people, other masses, joining together, and they staged vehement protests, big protests all over the country, and through that we were able to defeat that Saitam medical degree and Saitam the institution also. Now, by this Kotalawala bill, the government is going to recognize fee levying as the official government policy, not only in respect of medical degrees, medical education, but in connection of all the fields, all the sectors of higher education. So then it would definitely expand into the other sectors, and the free education would be in grave danger, and fee levying may be little by little would creep into the various aspects of higher education. Therefore, it's a very dangerous situation if this bill is going to be passed in the parliament as the official government policy. Then free education, the so-called free education, would become a nominal thing, nominal thing in the future, and the fee levying in the education sector would become the main aspect or main level in getting education for the children. Then there's nothing to say that in Sri Lanka, the vast majority of people can't pay for their higher education because the fees charged would not be in the level of 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, or 5,000 rupees. It would be over 50,000 rupees at least, and generally would be more than 100,000 rupees. May go into millions. Therefore, the higher education would, if this bill is to be passed in the parliament, then higher education would be a privilege of the elite people, or the high class people. So the vast majority of the people in this country who are poor or middle class would not be able to pursue higher education as in today, because the still at least till the basic degree, higher education is free, at least till the basic degree. Now we stand for that to be expanded, as far as possible, at least till higher the basic degree. That means first degree, the higher education sector should be free, and thereafter, sometimes there may be instances that fees have to be charged, but at least till the first degree, education should be free. That's our stand. That's our policy, and we are fighting for to keep that status intact. And the other aspect is the militarization of the education sector. Now, you know that the Kotalawala University, under the new bill, if it becomes law, would be under the control of the defense ministry. It's a university is going to be in the under the defense ministry, and not in the education or higher education ministries. A university should be, if that university is offering degrees in every sector, and if it caters for all the students, not only for military personnel, if it is going to cater for all the students, then it should be under the education or higher education ministry. But this new university, with Kotalawala University, it is even now it's under the defense ministry, but under this new bill, its composition would be its composition, and its what we call its area of education, its scope would be expanded to cover every aspect of education. Then, even then, it would be under the defense ministry. And the main thing is its board of governors would be headed by the secretary to the Ministry of Defense, and all three service chiefs, that means Army Commander, Navy Commander, and Air Force Commander, and also the chief of joint operations would also be included, and then again an additional secretary of the Defense Ministry, and only one representative from the University Grants Commission, and one representative from the Treasury, General Treasury, would be in the Board of Governors. That means out of 7 personnel, there are 5 would be from the Defense Ministry, and the quorum for a meeting of this Board of Governors is also only 5. Then these 5 persons from the defense sector can meet and take decisions with regard to higher education. So it's a very dangerous situation, because defense, the military is touching the education. They don't have any expertise or any capability to handle education. Up to now, the military sector hasn't shown any capability that they have to handle education sector. But then some people make a point with regard to the Senate. In the university normally have a Senate. The Senate of this university is comprised of education sector people. The proponents, or those who support this new bill, they state that the decisions with regard to the courses and syllabuses and the education activities would be taken by the Senate. But the thing is, it's true, it's correct, but the final authority lies with the Board of Governors, and also this is a military university, this is a defense university, and then the Senate would invariably be restricted or restrained by its nature, because as this is a military university, it would not act as a normal university. Therefore, the military aspect of this new bill is the most dangerous thing. And also, there's another side to this. That means this university, although it is named as a university, would be a parallel institute to the present Universal Grants Commission. Under the 1978 Universities Act, the UGC is the regulating body for the higher education sector in Sri Lanka. Therefore, all the universities or degrees or degree awarding institutes have to be recognized by the UGC for them to offer degree courses or degrees. But under this new bill, the Kothalawala University, the governing board of the Board of Governors of the Kothalawala University can recognize other higher education institutes as universities, and also can recognize degrees ordered by them. Then what that means? It means this university acts as a parallel regulating body to the UGC. So therefore, it's a very dangerous situation. I haven't heard anywhere in the world that there are two regulating bodies for the higher education. Only normally, even in England, there's a University Grants Commission. That's the regulating body. But here, for the first time, in a Commonwealth country, as far as we know, in a Commonwealth country, a military university is going to be a parallel regulating body for the higher education sector. Therefore, this is a very dangerous trend or the tendency building up in the country if this bill is to be passed. That's why we oppose this bill as a whole. You can't amend, or you can't amend a section or two, or you can't change a word or two here and there. You can't make this bill acceptable. Therefore, that means the whole structure of this university is wrong when we compare with the principles of free education, free state education. Free state education, we know that the Sri Lankan education system is very weak. There are many shortcomings. The students have to pay for tuition classes, especially in the O-level, A-level students have to pay very much exorbitant fees for their classes, private classes. Those are shortcomings in the education sector. We know we have to solve those shortcomings or problems. But privatizing or commercializing and militarizing the education sector is not the answer. There are a number of ills in the state education sector. We have to reform and give solutions to those shortcomings. But militarizing and commercializing the education is not the answer. Therefore, we oppose this new bill, and we are fighting to defeat this bill completely. And that's why this government has had to postpone the passing or debating this bill twice, and especially not only the students, university teachers, the FUTA, Federation of University Teachers Association, has expressed its vehement protest for this new bill. That means they know, they can understand the dangers of this new bill. Therefore, I urge you all to oppose this bill, especially in the Tamil speaking, amongst Tamil speaking people, to understand this gravity of this new bill, because the militarization, militarization in the various sectors has mainly affected the Tamil people. Therefore, this new avenues of militarization would affect you more seriously in the future. Therefore, we should all oppose this new bill completely.
My second question, there is an allegation that protesters were arbitrarily isolated by the police even though the court granted them bail. What is your opinion about this? What kind of legal action was taken in their favor?
Now, this bill was first debated on July 6th in Parliament. That day, students and trade unions, especially education sector trade unions, staged a protest outside Parliament. Sorry, July 8th. The date was July 8th, outside the Parliament Road, on the Parliament Road, and the number of trade union activists and students, including Joseph Stalin, the General Secretary of Ceylon Teachers Union, were arrested, and they were produced before the magistrate, and magistrate granted bail. But when they were coming out of the courts, the police dragged them by force to be quarantined. Because before that, the police asked from the magistrate an order that they should be quarantined, but the magistrate refused that request, stating that he doesn't have any power to make an order to that effect. But then the suspects, the suspected people were coming out of the court premises. The police by force dragged them into the buses and took somewhere in the Mullatiu area for quarantine. So we say it's a completely illegal thing. The illegality shows that if a person is to be quarantined, then the normal period is 14 days. Then they should be there for 14 days. But these people were released from the so-called quarantine within 8 days. Within 8 days. Why? No explanation from the government side. No explanation. Now these the 33 were arrested. Only 16 were taken for. They contracted the COVID virus. Then they were in the out in the society. But only 16 were taken for quarantine. So these people have filed fundamental rights applications. That means applications for infringement of their fundamental rights. They have to be taken up in some time next month, I think September. But I don't know what will happen due to these curfew restrictions. But anyway, they have filed legal action and they are pursuing that.
Finally, our grateful thanks for attending this interview. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.